First of all, we believe that all educational programs have to be gender sensitive. In the developing world, children, especially females, have to work day and night to bring water to their families. Thus, under the scope of NDGs, we suggest that infrastructure is improved to bring water to households, ensuring the increasing and continuous education for all children and for all young people. Moreover, parents should also be incorporated into these educational programs in order to inform them just how important their education is for their children, because they are actually the decision makers for their children's future. Secondly, the national educational curricula need to be adapted so that they are more innovative, more proactive, and more creative. Hence, we could provide practical knowledge next to the theoretical information for children and young people, ensuring a more daily basis and pragmatic education for all. Youth Forum finds it crucial that the help of media as a visual education tool is used so that the attention of children and youth is attracted to water education more strongly. Furthermore, the Youth Forum recognizes the need for financial, logistic, and mental support that is needed in the developing countries. One and concrete way of accomplishing this assistance is to turn the educational programs specific to water into ones that are jointly developed by NGOs, IGOs, and national institutions. We also believe the importance of daily aspects and dimensions of water education is great. Therefore, we would like to bring up the concept of virtual water, which would take into consideration how water is used indirectly to create certain products. Thus, we would not only learn certain theories or techniques, but also get accustomed to thinking outside the box and finding global solutions. The Youth Forum would like to stress this again and again. Are we young? Yes. Do we have great experience? No. However, we believe in the cliché of the youth being the future. Future is the one thing that brought us all together. We are bonded to create a better future for us, as well as other generations to come. Thus, we are motivated, encouraged, and enthusiastic. As youth, we think we can make a positive and lasting impact and urge you all to allow us to be involved as stakeholders that we are. We ask you to acknowledge our fervor and dedication and listen carefully to our suggestions. This is why we participated. This is why we ran around under the rain, and the snow even. And this is why I personally got ill. This must have proven our dynamism and eagerness to be involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. I think this is a very, very interesting discussion that sets the stage for the next intervention by Professor Kala Vairavamurthy, who on behalf of UNESCO IHP was leading the topic on water science and technology, appropriate and innovative solutions for the 21st century. And before Kala starts, do you have the PowerPoint? I would like to invite you to think about some of the basic questions which were so far discussed on education. Where is it that we need the reform in our education system? Likewise, I hope you will forgive me to ask this question. During his presentation, think about, is technology the answer? Kala, go ahead. Please.
Thanks very much, Andras, and good afternoon to all of you. As Andras mentioned, I was coordinating topic 6.2, which was focused on water science and technology, appropriate and innovative solutions for the 21st century. We had 3 sessions which were very animated. They were not traditional in any sense. We had movies, we had drama, we had what we call the fishbowl session, World Cafe session. We even had rap music. So it was extremely interesting and very diverse, but it was very engaging. And the session was really trying to encourage people to imagine a little bit and to dream about how we might manage water in 30 to 40 years from now, and how technology and innovations can help us do that. So the main question was really, how can science and innovation help address future water issues? We all recognise from the outset that there are lots of external pressures that are affecting countries in different ways. We have global change pressures such as climate change, urbanisation taking place very rapidly, and also issues related to how we have been maintaining our infrastructure that's progressively deteriorating. We also recognise from the outset that a lot of the ways in which we do things currently were based on a completely different context, where we had very small populations. At the turn of the century we had about 1 billion people, and we thought that water was endless, that the environment could assimilate any wastes that we threw at it. But now we are recognising that that's completely not the way to do things. So we wanted to think about how we could do things more intelligently. So we had several sub-questions which are on the screen here. What is our vision of a better functioning water system? What should be our priorities? And how can we create the imperative for change? One thing that came across throughout all the sessions that we had was that actually we know what we need to do. Okay, we've been discussing lots of these issues for the last 20 years, but still we find in most areas that we haven't actually made that change. And so the question was, what is required to create that imperative for change? So we discussed that a lot. We also knew that technology was moving very fast, and that technology offers huge options for us to try and address some of these water issues, particularly in the developing world. And there was a sense that most developing countries have a very strong technical capacity, and hence they have the opportunity to embrace some of the emerging technologies to try and, if you like, not go through some of the painful transitions that some of the developed countries have gone through, but to learn from some of the mistakes that have been made in the developed countries. And then we discussed the issue about connecting with stakeholders. There was a view that a lot of research has been done, a lot of new ideas have been developed in universities and various research institutes, but very often these research ideas have not really been taken up and not been utilised in the field. They haven't had an impact on the ground. So we wanted to explore how we could try and improve that. So each of these questions were being addressed by the various sessions that we had, and I'd just like to go through some of the key messages that came out from each of these sessions. So if we look at the first issue about technology, we concluded our session really with the view that embracing new technology, we need to embrace new technology and we need to explore its full potential. It's not only about number crunching, but there are lots of other aspects of technology that can help us. Currently we use it mainly for modelling, but there was a view that we should be using it for visualization type activities, playing games and trying to sort of educate people through serious gaming how water could be managed. There was a very strong view that we need to learn from other sectors. The solutions aren't going to come from the water sector. And we need to try and work much more closely with other sectors that are really the future thinkers, the people who are trying to shape the future. And in that respect, we had an excellent presentation from IBM. And IBM sort of have this vision of a smart city, a city that would almost be self-regulating. And water would clearly be a very important component. And their view was that individuals would actually be able to monitor flows into and out of their own properties, both in terms of water, wastewater and energy, and that they would be able to regulate how they utilize these services based on different types of costs and different types of environmental considerations, so that they would have much more control over their own services than just depending on the provider. We also had Google, who gave a very interesting presentation too. And Google were of the view that in the future, through their Google Earth platform, that individuals would be able to actually go to their own location and see what was happening in terms of the way water, wastewater and the environment as a whole was being managed within their own region. There was a sense that this type of approach would make water professionals much more accountable, and that there would be greater transparency, and that this would be the impetus, if you like, that might create the changes that we want, because the professionals would be sort of constantly exposed for any sort of poor practices that were being undertaken. There was also some discussions of a potential sort of single digital Earth model, where all the different aspects that affect the water cycle come together and are actually simulated through the Google Earth process, so that we can understand how our own activities affect the water cycle. So one could, if one wanted to see how throwing paint down the drain, what impact that might